Well, there's been a lot of talk over the weekend and last week about the future of the TT yet again, and especially the involvement of Vision 9, who are all set, of course, as we know, to take over. Then there was a delay. Since then, there's been all sorts of rumours flying around that things aren't still sorted. In fact, things may be at an end. We don't know exactly what's going on because we haven't yet heard from the government. A press conference was due this week. At the moment, it's now being put off. So what better than to join Julian Topham in London at Vision 9 to get his take on things. Julian, thanks for joining us. Obviously, you've had a very busy time. I think, first of all, we need to know what you know. Are you involved in the TT?
Well, Paul, thanks for coming to talk to me. As it stands at the minute, we understand through a number of press and media, and seems to be quite widely known, that Comyn voted to end the TT process last Thursday. However, what's transpiring to be unsurprising in this process is the DED haven't informed us of that. We've had no official update, except for the fact that it's widely accepted that that is the current state of affairs.
Well, we're hearing that also, but again, we have to state this is totally unofficial. What I think will surprise the viewers is that you haven't been informed, especially that leaks seem to be appearing in all directions on this news. Are you telling me that you haven't had no official contact with the government on this very important information for your company and for the future of the TT?
That's correct. We've had no official communication from the government, and that's really the kind of brunt of our frustration at this stage. Is really the ethics and conduct of the Isle government throughout this tender process. Now,
it could mean, of course, that they've had various meetings and they haven't actually made a decision. I mean, there is that potential that things are okay, but you want to know, like everyone, I suppose, where you are.
Well, look, it's widely rumoured that this decision has been made from a number of sources. So we would be, we'd be sceptical that it's anything but the case. And as has been the kind of situation through this entire process, is we remain impacted by significant reputational damage around the speculation of what is or what isn't going on. We've got sponsors who've called us up, we've got broadcasters who we've had conversations with who've called us up to have clarification on these rumours, and we cannot give them an answer. So once again, it leaves us looking bad and impacted by what we would deem to be the Isle of Man's incompetence within this tender process.
Whose incompetence are we talking about? And this is your words. Whose incompetence? Yeah. Is it a minister or is it a department?
I think that remains to be seen. I mean, what we are not clear on is whether this bid process was ever intended to be completed or whether the DED department ever had the authority to complete it. But what is becoming increasingly apparent that one of those two scenarios was true, and that's what we intend to resolve.
Well, as I say, we're talking about a lot of rumours, and I've heard that it has been a legal issue. Certainly the Attorney General's Department is involved, and you know that. I mean, yeah. If they weren't, DED weren't in a position actually to give you a contract because the legalities weren't correct, you can see why there's been a stoppage, yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the question for us is, why was this very, very detailed, very long running, considered with enormous amounts of consulting fees and advice along the way? Why was that process entered into? Why were we encouraged to invest in that tender process if basic background legalities weren't in place? That's the question.
Again, it appears to be other departments of government. There seems to be some sort of fighting going on between different heads of these government departments. We did hear from the previous minister, Phil Gordon, that he was saying that DOI had to double check that if there'd been a landslide or something, how they were protected. I think Health also were deeply concerned about whose responsibility things could land on if things went wrong. Do you accept that basically that's where it's all got stuck?
I don't know those facts. And again, those are the rumours that I've heard. The Attorney General's Office has given us absolutely no information. We've had 3 letters since the Tynwald approval last April. We've been encouraged to continue investing in our move towards becoming the promoter of the TT. So we don't know that position. I think the question remains is, if that is the case, and that is widely rumoured, why on earth were they tendering the TT promoter contract when they haven't done that background preparation? Because we've invested huge amounts of money and wasted huge amounts of money in this process. We've had public image damage through the process. We've put forward thousands and thousands of hours worth of ideas and concepts, all for the Isle of Man, government's benefit, and it's been hugely damaging to us through a process that effectively was unable to complete from the very onset.
This all sounds like it could get expensive with lawyers' litigation. Yes,
we've instructed our lawyers to commence litigation.
And I mean, you're saying all these man hours and reputation. That sounds like it's not a small thing you're looking at. You're looking for millions?
It's not. The finer details of that, we will go into at a later stage. Obviously, that's for our lawyers to speak to the Attorney General's office, and I'm sure will come out in time. It's not finalised at the minute. But we're a business that is completely reliant on our reputation and our image. We're a business that's valued at £15 million, and this, over the course of the last 18 months, has been by far and away the most damaging thing we've ever been involved in within our 16 years of trading. And it's set us back, and as a result of which we've missed and deferred lots of other opportunities. And that is through what would appear to be incompetence within this bid process, and that needs to be examined.
Are you surprised? I mean, at the weekend on a radio interview, Mr. Cullister, who's got responsibilities in DED, says he doesn't know anything yet. I mean, yeah, we're all hearing that everyone knows something. Do you think this is not helpful?
Given the fact that I know, or I'm aware that the staff within the DED were briefed, that seems very surprising. But it's consistent with the grey information and reports continually coming out of the DED's office.
You pulled it from your website, didn't you, last week? This is when things started to move. So
that was when we heard that the staff had been briefed.
So you heard rumours last week, basically?
Yeah.
And you have pulled it because I couldn't find any reference at all when I looked at your website now. It seems to be completely gone. Is that how you're treating it? This is over, there's no going back, even if now you get a call from the Chief Minister today to say, let's go and have a chat about this?
Listen, if the government turned around and chose to act in what we deem to be an ethical and morally correct way towards this, as we've said before, we would be collaborative in our conversations. We have been collaborative to date. We've followed the bid guide and bid process to the T. We've been supported within their press. They've encouraged us to go and have conversations with stakeholders, sponsors, broadcasters, marshals associations, etc., all of which we've done in good faith. We've continued to invest in the process of taking over the contract, and at the same time, they've been unilaterally not progressing the agreement and not making us aware of the situation they were facing behind the scenes. So, principally, we are collaborative. We're not a litigious company, but I think everyone can widely see that we've been led down the garden path with this bid, and it was, and it should never have been put in place without, the correct amount of diligence and preparation done. So we go back to the original point. Either this bid was never designed to complete, or it was never prepared and DED never had the authority to complete it, both of which are highly negligent, in my view, from Isle of Man governments tendering work. And I think this is a warning to all businesses and small businesses like us who are considering getting involved in the government when they're prepared to act in this unethical way.
Well, you're not holding back on any of this. I mean, you're obviously clearly upset about this whole thing. I mean, the impact, you already said there, but do you really believe that it was never designed to work? I mean, we've done interviews with you, haven't we, from the very beginning when you came over, when it was discussed, and even when it was put back a year. Did you still feel at that stage things were going to happen?
Yes. Yeah, in all honesty, we did.
So from here...
And you treat a lot of this in good faith. And we've relied on that, and evidently it wasn't the case.
Well, I have to say again, time recording this on Monday morning, we haven't got any information that this is actually the case. It's a massive rumour, and clearly there's going to be a press conference call, which at some point this week, for everything to come out. But one more time, you just don't think there's any way back from this whatsoever for you? This is absolutely over?
I'm fairly sure it's over. Again, we are reliant on rumours here. I think there's a second component to this. I think there's our situation and the ethics of the government tender process, and I think the second component is the TT itself. What became abundantly apparent through the process and through our 18 months of looking at the TT is that it is incredibly poorly operated at the moment. The standards with which it's operated are way behind industry standards, and it shouldn't be costing the taxpayer what we'd estimate to be in the region of £4.5 million a year. That should not be happening. So not only has there been advice taken by the DED, there's also a significant lack of skill set in operating this event, and I think the taxpayer needs to call them into question. Because it doesn't make sense for that to continue regardless. Clearly, all the advice said that, and yes, yet they've run 2 bid processes, 2 tenders, and were unable to complete what would seem like a very, very logical move towards involving an external promoter with the expertise to run the event.
Well, we also hear that it is the old guard, or some people who are in a position of power with the TT who don't want the change and have been actively working against anything. Again, can't be, this is just rumours, but that's all we've got to go on. Have you had that sort of thing? Did you feel that when you came here, certain people or departments were entrenched, they didn't want change?
Yes, absolutely, and that's understandable to an extent. Probably go into that in more detail further down the road. And I understand there's a lot of nervousness around change for the TT. It's an incredible and historically valuable event, deeply embedded in the history of the Isle of Man. And we understand that there are sensitivities around change, but this is not about significant change. This is about operating efficiently with the capability to using modern-day marketing techniques. At the minute, 45,000 people come to the island to experience the TT and don't buy much from the TT itself. So effectively, it costs the taxpayer £100 per each one of those 45,000 people that come to the island to watch the TT. I don't think, given the fact that it doesn't need to cost anything at all, that is a good use of taxpayers' money.
Well, Julian, we'll hold it there, but we are expecting some point this week to get clarification, whatever. Again, do you think this has been handled badly more than anything else, the way that you've had to hear the rumours like we have?
Absolutely, handled terribly.